70% of our marketing is all direct mail.
Right. There's no regulations on what you can send. There is no regulations or spam filters.
Right.
Other than the people who are opening their own mailboxes and maybe throwing things away before they open it.
Sure.
But then that's an opportunity for you to stand out in that regard.
Yep.
We actually did a little research at DealMachine.
Okay.
That if you only send one piece of direct mail, you're missing out on over 85% of your potential deals.
Yeah.
Because when we surveyed our members and how many postcards, deals that they had done, how many postcards or letters did that seller receive?
Right.
Some do respond on the first postcard,
Sure.
but based on our survey, you're missing out on 85%.
Yeah,
if you only stop after sending one piece of mail to a house that you're interested in.
The DealMachine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
I can go back into other industries that I've worked. Mm-hmm. And direct mail was effective there as well. 70% of our marketing is all direct mail.
Right. There's no regulations on what you can send. There is no regulations or spam filters.
Right.
Other than the people who are opening their own mailboxes and maybe throwing things away before they open it.
Sure.
But then that's an opportunity for you to stand out in that regard.
Yep. There's many ways you can do that.
And the post office is very reliable. Yep. It is very reliable. And it does not have a text messaging filter like some of the carriers do. There's email spam filters that might block outreach that way.
Right.
And one thing that I love about direct mail is that it takes no time.
Yeah.
If you're using a system unlike me to actually put the picture with the address and print the mail and get it sent out. But assuming that you're using a company to do that, it actually takes no time, which is amazing because the simpler things are, the more likely you are to do them.
Yep. And I like the idea, like I've seen it, even most recently, people say, don't spray and pray. Is that what it's like the idea of sending out a bunch of mail and just wait. And I'm like, but it's so easy. And honestly, if you go out and you identify which properties that you see as distressed, like I do in my market, I look around in every neighborhood and I see the distressed houses. Mm-hmm. To me, it's not just throwing mail out the window and hoping something sticks. I genuinely want each of those properties to call me back.
Yeah, you're not marketing to everyone in St. Joe. You've actually selected that house for a reason.
Yeah, now I market to a lot of people and I send out a lot of mail, but each of my mail pieces, it's not like, it's very calculated. The way that we go out and identify the properties that we do direct mail, it's very calculated. We look for specific things, whether that's whatever level of distress, which for us, it's over the course of 3 years, it's changed because it used to just be broken windows, boarded up windows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many of those. Yeah. Once you start, like for us, we've cleaned up so much of our own town. There's still some of those that are boarded up and I've mailed them a dozen times and I'm still like, you won't get response out of some of them.
We actually did a little research at DealMachine.
Okay.
That if you only send one piece of direct mail, you're missing out on over 85% of your potential deals. Yeah. Because when we surveyed our members and how many postcards, deals that they had done, how many postcards or letters did that seller receive?
Right.
Some do respond on the first postcard,
Sure.
But based on our survey, you're missing out on 85%.
Yeah,
if you only stop after sending one piece of mail to a house that you're interested in.
I can back that up. We used to, when we first started, I was only doing one. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I did that. I think it was more or less just to see if it was working. Mm-hmm. But over the course of time, I have seen sending, and how I know, I'll get a phone call and they'll be like, I've gotten like 5 postcards from you. And I'm like, yes. Maybe it's what it takes is seeing a piece of mail coming to them 5 times with either the same or a different message. Mm-hmm. And that gets their attention. Mm-hmm. Eventually they'll call you.
Yeah. Well, here's one way I like to think about it. You might be buying a list. I'm not sure how you've selected all your properties. Would love to hear that. But if you're doing a driving for dollars list, which means you're driving around looking for these rundown houses that physically look rundown, that has grass growing too tall or paint peeling off or whatever, that house has looked run down for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell it before.
Right.
So just because they get a postcard from you one time means they're probably not going to sell it as well
that one postcard
on the first
may not
time.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But now it becomes a timing thing.
Right.
Something may happen where they do need to sell it. Maybe a tree falls on the house. And,
regularity, even in.
So you got to hit them up, make sure you're on the table when they do want to sell. And it's worth it to continue to be on the table because the house is run down. It's just a matter of time when they will need to sell it.
Yep. Yeah. Staying on, like once you've added it and you've identified it as a lead, keeping it as a lead until they tell you no, it's a lead. And it should be part of your regular marketing strategy. For us, like all of those, every lead that we have added that's not absolutely said, don't call me again, I'm not interested, is still in my lead list. So every deal that we've ever added is still there until they specifically say, no, I'm not interested, or they say, yes, I want to sell the house. It stays there and we'll market it every so often. Over the course of time, what we have identified as distress changes because you start seeing different symptoms, and you can actually find a symptom of distress early. The more you do it, you start seeing, okay, before it gets to 12-foot tall grass, you start seeing 6-foot tall grass. Before you see 6-foot tall grass, you see 1-foot tall grass. Before that, you're just like, they haven't mowed their yard for a few weeks. And I'll go around and I'll pick out all the ones that it's like, you haven't mowed. It's definitely either you're on vacation or something's happening and you're not paying attention to this house.
Yeah.
So like that's a symptom. Stuffed mailboxes is the same way. I mean, you could drive by in a house with the mailbox on the front. If there's a bunch of mail in it, that tells me there's nobody there. They're not checking the mail. Now your risk is I'm going to add to that pile, but eventually somebody might come by and pick that up. And what are they going to see in their mailbox? 5-6 postcards with my name on them.
That happened to me with one deal that I did where the person actually passed away and their son came to the house to kind of clean it out. And he saw a bunch of my postcards and he called me because he's like, I have to settle debts with their estate within the next 30 days.
Dude, get this. So this is I like telling stories, and this one just fits perfect. So in our this was probably year 2 of wholesaling real estate. It was January. A lady had called and I had went and did driving for dollars in a very high-end neighborhood, like total Hail Mary. I'm like, I'm just going to go drive around and see. But these are like $350,000-$400,000 houses. And in our market, that's big.
That's big.
That's
big in
market.
Indianapolis, wherever I was from.
Yeah. So I went and I drove around and I sent postcards. And then I got a call from one of the postcards, an elderly woman. She's like, I am interested in selling the house. I don't live there anymore. And we need to do it. And I said, okay. And this was right before pandemic was really getting to be a problem. And so I told her, I said, call me. She had some doctor's appointments she needed to go and take care of. I said, call me when you're done with that. I'll meet you at the house. All of a sudden it was crickets. There was I didn't get a call, didn't get anything. Probably 2 months passed. It was March. And I got a random call. Hey, this is so-and-so over at my mom's house. She passed away a few weeks ago, and your postcard was on her refrigerator. And so she had some notes written on the conversation that you guys had, and I wanted to follow up with you. And so I'm like, absolutely. I went and met them, walked through the property and made my offer. They accepted the offer, and I wholesaled that. That was like, at that time, that was my first big assignment fee. Like I made $20,000 on that one deal. And it was from one postcard that she had taken out of her mail. And granted, she didn't live there. So she had set that piece of postcard aside on her refrigerator, and then her kids found it and they called me. Like, just the way that all that stuff works, it's like, that is so, you don't know who's going to find it, how it's going to be found.
Yes.
But it's coming.
I remember that first deal that I did from a piece of direct mail that was direct to the seller, meaning this was not a house that was listed for sale. He just responded to my postcard. I remember seeing my postcard there on his counter. That was just such an amazing feeling because I'd been sending a lot of postcards, but to see the one that actually gave me the deal.
Yeah.
I wish I would have framed it.
When I see that, like I met with a guy a couple weeks ago who had 9 houses. And I went and met with him, and there sat my postcards on his desk. He's like, "Do you want these back?" I'm like, "No, you can have." But I took a picture because I'm like, it's cool to see it. Like from my side, I'm sending them.
Yeah.
He's receiving them, and I'm seeing that whole process play out right there in that negotiation.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun to see when you get a lead from that postcard. It's gratifying, and it's always fun to see it.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.